The backyard was alive with laughter, the golden glow of string lights casting long, flickering shadows across the faces of our closest friends and family. The scent of grilled rosemary lamb and Emily's favorite lemon blueberry cake hung in the warm summer air. My daughter stood at the center of it all, her graduation cap slightly askew, her cheeks flushed with pride. She had worked so hard for this moment. Honors, scholarships, a full ride to Columbia. And I had spent weeks planning this night, making sure every detail was perfect for her. I took a slow sip of my wine, the crisp Chardonnay doing little to soothe the knot in my chest. Across the yard, Daniel, my husband of 20 years, clinked his glass with a spoon. Oh, good, I thought, forcing a smile. A toast to Emily. But the moment he opened his mouth, I knew that smirk, that arrogant tilt of his chin, that glint in his eye, like a predator circling its prey. I've got an announcement, he said, voice booming over the chatter. The crowd quieted, expectant. Emily turned, beaming at him, waiting for the proud fatherly speech she deserved. I'm starting a new life, he declared, grinning like a man who had already won. Without you, Claire. Silence, absolute, suffocating silence. Emily's smile froze. My best friend Lisa gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. And then, there she was, Jessica, sitting right there among our friends, her perfectly manicured fingers curled around a champagne flute, smirking like she'd already won. My stomach twisted, bile rising in my throat. This was how he wanted to do it? At our daughter's graduation party? In front of everyone we knew? For a second, the world blurred, the voices around me muffled as if I were underwater. I could feel the weight of every pair of eyes on me, pitying, shocked, some even amused. Then something inside me snapped. I smiled. Slowly, deliberately, I reached into my purse and pulled out a crisp, white envelope. Congratulations, I said, my voice steady, cold. You're finally honest for once. I turned and walked away, my heels clicking against the patio stones. Behind me, I heard the frantic rip of paper, then... What the hell is this? I didn't need to look back to know what he was seeing. The deed to our house, now solely in my name. Divorce papers granting me full custody of Emily. Bank statements showing his entire savings transferred to my account. And the best part? Jessica stood up, smoothed her designer dress, and strolled over to me. Pleasure doing business with you, Claire, she purred, winking before turning to Daniel. Oh, and Danny? I was never into you, just the money, which, by the way, is gone. His face turned purple, veins bulging at his temples. You set me up? I didn't answer, because revenge, after all, is a dish best served cold, and mine had only just begun. Flashback, 2 months earlier. The house was too quiet. I sat at Daniel's mahogany desk in the home office, the glow of the computer screen casting long shadows across the stacks of tax documents. Outside, rain pattered against the windows, a soft, rhythmic sound that usually soothed me. But not tonight. Emily was upstairs studying for her finals, the faint hum of her study playlist drifting under her door. Some indie folk song about heartbreak. I should have recognized the omen. The receipt slipped out from between 2 folders as I reached for the mortgage statements. The Grand Lux Hotel, dated last month, the same night he'd kissed my forehead before leaving, murmuring about that damn conference in Chicago. My fingers trembled as I unfolded the crisp paper. Room service charges, champagne, a late-night movie rental. Oh, God. I nearly tore the keyboard drawer open in my rush to pull up our credit card statements. The numbers blurred as I scrolled. $450, Le Jardin, our restaurant, where he'd proposed to me 21 years ago over creme brulee and promises. $1,200, diamonds and pearls. My throat closed. He'd bought me earrings last Christmas after I'd pointed them out 3 times. We need to be careful with money, he'd said, even as the receipt for her bracelet sat glaring on the screen. $800, the chateau, a weekend getaway, while I'd been home nursing Emily through the flu. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the desk, my wedding ring catching the light, a band he'd upgraded 5 years ago after his first big promotion. For putting up with my long hours, he'd joked. Now I knew where those hours had really gone. 2:47 a.m. rain lashed the windows as I dialed the number Lisa had pressed into my hand at book club last week. Marcus Carter, the best PI in the city. 3 rings. A sleep-roughened voice answered. I need proof, I said, staring at the family photo on Daniel's desk. Emily's gap-toothed grin at 6, his arm around my waist. Everything. Marcus arrived at dawn, a broad-shouldered man in a rumpled trench coat with eyes that missed nothing. He took one look at the receipts and nodded. Give me 72 hours. Day 3. The envelope sat heavy in my lap as I parked outside Jessica's apartment building. Inside, photos of Daniel feeding her strawberries at Le Jardin, his hand on her thigh under the table. Texts, "Miss you in my bed," sent while lying next to me at 1:17 a.m., a video of them stumbling into the Grand Lux's penthouse, her laugh shrill as he nuzzled her neck. "Worth every penny of Claire's alimony," she giggled. I watched it 3 times. The first, shaking so hard I dropped my phone. The second, dry-eyed, memorizing every detail. The third, with the icy calm of a woman who'd just found her weapon. Jessica's apartment smelled like vanilla and deceit. I'd waited outside her building for 2 hours, disguised in oversized sunglasses and a floppy hat Lisa would have mocked mercilessly. When she finally emerged, sleek as a panther in a tailored blazer, I stepped into her path. "You're sleeping with my husband." She froze, her designer purse slipping down her arm. For a heartbeat, I saw fear flicker in her expertly lined eyes. Then the smirk returned. And the cafe around the corner was nearly empty. She stirred her almond milk latte with a manicured finger as I slid the contract across the table. $50,000, I said, watching her pupils dilate at the number. "Half now, half when it's done." She licked her lips. What exactly would I need to do? I leaned in, close enough to smell Daniel's cologne lingering on her scarf. "Make him fall in love with you. Make him trust you." I tapped the video, still playing on my phone, his hands roaming her body. "Then, when he's ready to leave me for you..." Her grin was all teeth. "Break him. Destroy him," I corrected softly. "And Jessica, make sure he knows it was my idea." The way her laugh echoed through the cafe would haunt Daniel's nightmares for years. Present day. The air crackled with tension, the once celebratory atmosphere now thick with shock. Daniel's face twisted into something unrecognizable, a grotesque mask of rage and disbelief. His hands clenched into fists at his sides, his knuckles white. "You bitch, you can't do this!" he roared, his voice raw and guttural. The guests, our supposed friends, family, colleagues, stumbled back as if repelled by the venom in his words. Glasses slipped from trembling fingers, shattering against the patio stones. Emily stood frozen, her graduation cap askew, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Dad!" she choked out, but he didn't even look at her. His eyes were locked on me. I didn't flinch. "You did this to yourself," I said, my voice steady, cold. The kind of calm that comes not from lack of emotion, but from the absolute certainty of victory. He lunged for me then, his expensive suit jacket straining across his shoulders. "I'll ruin you!" But before he could take another step, Jessica's voice cut through the chaos. "Oh, Danny," she purred, stepping forward in that sleek black dress he'd bought her, her red lips curved in a mocking smile. "Didn't you learn? She already ruined you!" His head snapped toward her, betrayal flashing across his face. "You? Me," Jessica confirmed, popping the P like she was savoring the word. She reached into her clutch and pulled out a check, the final installment of her payment. "Every single tear you fake cried about your loveless marriage? Claire paid me to listen." The crowd erupted into gasps. Daniel swayed, his face draining of color. You planned this?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The distant wail of police sirens grew louder. Jessica had called them the moment Daniel stood up to make his little announcement. "Sir," an officer said, stepping forward, hand resting on his holstered weapon. "You need to come with us." "This is my house!" Daniel bellowed, spit flying from his lips. "Not anymore," I said, holding up the deed. "Your name's off it, just like mine was off your heart." As they dragged him away, his screams faded into the night, blending with the murmurs of our horrified guests. Then, silence. Emily's hand found mine, her fingers ice cold. "Mom," her voice was small, shattered. "Did you know?" I turned to her, cupping her face in my hands. Her tears streaked her makeup, her breath coming in shallow hiccups. My heart cracked, but I didn't let it break. "Not here, not yet." "I'm sorry," I whispered, pressing my forehead to hers. "I'm so sorry you had to find out this way." She trembled, but then, slowly, she nodded. "We're going to be okay," I promised, and for the first time in months, I meant it. 1 month later. The new house was smaller, but it smelled like fresh paint and possibility. Sunlight streamed through the bay windows, casting golden patterns across the hardwood floors. Emily's laughter echoed from the kitchen as she unpacked the last of the dishes. Daniel had fought, of course. He'd screamed. He'd threatened, but in the end, the ironclad prenup he had insisted on, the one his lawyer had smugly declared would protect his assets, left him with nothing. No house, no savings, no custody, and Jessica, gone. vanished with her payout, just like we'd agreed. The last I'd heard, Daniel had been fired from his firm after the scandal went public. No one wanted a partner who couldn't even keep his own life from imploding. "Mom," Emily called from the living room, "come see this." I found her curled up by the fireplace, a photo album open in her lap. Our old memories, birthdays, vacations, Christmases, stared back at us. She traced a finger over a picture of Daniel holding her as a toddler, his smile wide, his eyes bright. "Do you hate him?" she asked quietly. I sat beside her, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "No," I admitted, "but I don't forgive him either." She nodded, then turned the page. A new chapter. "You're kind of scary when you're angry, Mom," she said after a moment, a small smile tugging at her lips. I laughed, pulling her close. "No, sweetheart, I'm scary when I'm patient. Because revenge isn't about rage, it's about strategy. And me, I had just won the game. The end.